What's going on, my friends? Welcome back to Applicate for another video. Today we're going to talk about doing some foliar applications to ornamentals like the spruce here behind me, and we're going to talk about how to manage drift, because that's one of the biggest issues when you're spraying large ornamentals is managing the drift, right? So how do we do that? I have my skid sprayer in this truck. For all intents and purposes, this video we're going to use water. The tank's been triple rinsed. I know it's clean, there's nothing in it. But we're gonna we're treating this for rhizophyra needlecast, and that is a disease that affects spruce trees, blue spruce trees, and it's one of those things where right now is an opportune time to treat it. We have new growth coming out that we want to preserve, but we also have a house. You know, you got to envision if you were in a tighter neighborhood, you might have houses that are closer. We're kind of rural in this area, so how do we manage the drift from getting over everything? We'll talk about that. And some things, I mean, you can't prevent the drift. It's going to happen. Even in the National Corps manual, it says that drift is not, drift's basically inevitable. Like, you can't eliminate 100% of drift. It's always going to be there no matter what you do. Yes and no, because that also depends on the application method. And I'll talk about that, some different application methods that we could do for this exact disease that's going to differ from what we're about to do. So without further ado, let's dive in and let's get to spraying. All right, so we were having some audio issues on the first part. Sorry about that. But basically, we're going to get ready to spray this, see what it looks like, and then we'll basically see, you know, what's it going to look like when we're spraying, what's the drift look like. We're going to do a couple different pressure settings. We'll go, you know, high pressure, low pressure, and at that point, we'll kind of see the clouds and how they change. So we got to get this thing fired up, and then we'll throw it on the highest setting. Good to go, good to go. Okay, so this is the highest setting. This is like 480 psi, something like that. But now if we look, you can see that it's drifting off to the right. You get really good coverage with pressures like this. And basically, you're getting really good coverage with high pressure, but you're also having an extreme potential for drift. So it's just one of those things. So watch the cloud as it occurs, right? You can't really see me too well, but you're gonna be able to see this cloud. One of the ways that you can reduce drift is you hold a constant stream, okay? If you're holding a constant stream, you have that pressure and the water that's cutting through the air is cutting at the same spot. But if you do this, now you have multiple clouds occurring and the drift's going everywhere. If you have one constant stream, you're basically manipulating the air with the water as you're spraying it. So it keeps the drift down a little bit. Now the other thing that you can do is adjust the pressure, so let's reduce it. So now we went from about 500 psi to about 200. You can see now we have a sprinkle. Now we have thicker droplets. Thicker droplets are coming out, there's less drift. The droplets are heavier. They're coming right down to the ground almost. But doing it this way, you can't reach the top of the tree. No matter how hard you want, you don't have the pressure to reach the top. So that's one way to reduce the drift, right? So now we know we don't do multiple trigger pulls, we just hold it. But then the other way is to adjust your pressure, which increases your droplet size. You just don't have the ability to reach the top. So I'm going to kill this now. So you don't have the pressure to reach the top doing it that way. So I hope that was educational and you could see kind of what was going on. So again, that's one way that you can reduce drift, is you adjust your pressures and it changes how you can apply. But for large ornamental trees, you need the pressure to go up high. So there's a couple other things that we can do. We can add drift additives, which if you've never seen those, there's some really cool videos from manufacturers. Basically, once that droplet goes, whatever it touches, it really sticks to. And then the water molecule spreads and it sticks to that section. Those are really cool, good ideas. Another way is we could alter our application method. So instead of spraying this tree for Rhizophyra needle cast, we could inject the tree. There's a product out there called Whip It. It's made by Arbor Systems, and it has needle cast right on the label. And I've used it personally, and it does work. And it's one of those things that's ideal in situations where you have multiple houses and neighbors, and you don't want to drift onto people's properties. You can just say, well, you know what, we're not going to spray this tree, which is what we usually do. We're going to inject the tree, and then we'll have a better application, less risk of drift, less risk for the pesticide applicator and the neighboring properties. So that's just, wanted to cover drift, managing drift, why drift's important. If you've made it this far into the video, I have a special for you. I attended a class where a gentleman was so concerned with drift that he actually made a neighbor consent form. And that neighbor consent form, basically you have this form, you walk over to the neighbor's property, you say, hey, we're about to do this pesticide application for this purpose, we're using these chemicals, we need your consent because we believe that some of this will land on your property. It's just there's no other way to avoid this. But what that does is it helps you with liability. So if you just go make this application and pesticides rain down on the neighbor's property, they could technically take you to court because they didn't consent to have pesticides on their property or pesticide applications on their property. So by doing this, it really alleviates a lot of liability. And if you were to ever have to go to court, God forbid, you'll be able to show this document and say, hey, this is what we have. They said that this was okay. You can find that in the description below, or you can go to www.elevate-applicate.com/neighbor consent, and then that'll take you to our little document landing page. Basically, you'll get there, you'll submit your name, email, and then it'll take you to a page where you can then download the form. So super simple, super awesome. I was glad that I attended a class that somebody had gone through the motion to create that. It's a general document, so you're going to have to not manipulate, but adjust it according to your business. But I do highly recommend it. We use it all the time. Nature of what I do in my pesticide applications with mosquitoes or poison ivy mitigation, we're constantly dealing with property lines, so we absolutely need it. But yeah, so drift, protect yourself, protect yourself as an applicator, protect your surroundings as an applicator, and protect your business as an applicator, right? Drift is one of those things where it's inevitable, but we can do what we can to really reduce it. So without further ado, you guys take care, have a great day, God bless, and go get them.